Okay, good evening everybody. We've got a colossally long agenda, so I'm going to preface this meeting as I did the last really long one, where I'm going to be quite ruthless about keeping people to their 3 minutes, whether they're members of the public or councillors, unless they're required. I mean, unless they're giving a big report. I'm going to not call people to speak more than once, unless they have new information, genuinely new information that will facilitate a better discussion. And I'm going to be quite ruthless about it, otherwise we'll be here till midnight, which none of us do. So, good evening. I'm going to propose that we change standing orders, and I'll explain why. Because we are going to have a long or a substantial report from the civic trustees, and we will probably want to discuss it immediately after we've heard it. Well, we will want to discuss it immediately after we've heard it. Sadly, our standing orders are such that Alex won't be able to stay in the room. He finishes his report, we ask all the questions we can think of, then he leaves the room while we discuss it. But we wanted to, Jen and I changed the order so that that becomes the first thing we discuss afterwards. So we'll have our other members of the public, and welcome to you. Then we'll have, there are some of the things right at the beginning that we have to do first. Then Alex, and then his item on the agenda, and then we'll revert to the order. Are you all happy with that? Can you both do that? Thank you. Okay, so item 1 is to mention that we are recording on our phone. If there are other people who wish to record as well, they are welcome to do so. Does anybody wish to record in addition to the recording we are making? No? Items to be heard in private session. We have...
Yes, so I've got several to suggest for this, please, Chair, or at least it's been a bit of an odd one for item 79 over the civic. Due to access being given to a legally privileged report to councillors, but no permission for that to have a wider dissemination, once Alex has given his report and what he wants to say, and you've had a chance to ask him questions, I'm going to suggest that we then go into private session for the rest of that item 79.
Are you all happy with that? Yeah. Item 3 is apologies and reasons. The councillors' apologies for absence and reasons have been circulated. Are you content to accept these?
Yeah. Can you take a vote, please?
Thank you.
There's a dispensation request as well, Chair.
Yes, and we have a dispensation request from a councillor, which details will be sent out, have been sent out, but we don't say who it is or what. Are we happy? Well, I want you to consider this 6 months dispensation, that request. All those in favour? Thank you. A couple more bits of housekeeping and then it'll be your turn. We've had revised declarations of DPIs and things. Anything we need to know?
Just to say that there was a renewed DPI from Councillor Brooke, dated the 29th of the 5th. That was received at planning on the 12th of August and sent out again prior to this meeting, so all councillors have seen it. And also a renewed DPI from Councillor Roundsby, dated the 7th of October, and that was sent out for receiving in this meeting.
Thank you. We're just noting those. Are there declarations of interest, please, from any councillors first, on items in the agenda. I'll just start at this end and go down, I think. Councillor Wilson.
Item 29, the civic, as I'm a trustee.
Right.
Similar.
Same for Councillor Ransby. Any others? No? Okay, they're noted. Any from officers?
None, but can we just say regarding the declarations from Councillor Wilson and Councillor Ransby, as at the last full council meeting, my advice as clerk would be that as they are your representatives on the trust, that you allow them to speak as everyone else, but that they refrain from voting.
Are you content with that? Can I see hands? Yeah, thank you. Now, we now go to asking our members of the public to speak to us. Not you, Alex, our other members of the public. I must ask you to be brief. We're limiting everybody in the room to 3 minutes, so please be brief. I will be timing you.
Would you like to stand or sit?
We'll hear you better if you stand.
So thank you for coming. I'm Rachel Hodgson. I have a planning application in currently, and I just would like, obviously you've proposed the application and put in, I just want to address some of the points. The application is not agricultural, so class Q doesn't apply. They are commercial stables, and that is confirmed by planning. The buildings are deemed brownfield in line with planning policy. It will be an enhancement to the green belt and the rural area. The site access has been used by my family for 40 years and there's been no problems, and the deed states about the right of way through. You made a comment about the access to the site is inadequate. It is not. We have deliveries, we have many users of the right of way to the stables, including the blacksmith, shavings, bales, large tractors, and this has never been a problem, and the visibility is very good from both directions, and we erected the wide gate. The footprint will be reduced to reduce spread in the green belt, which is shown in our sympathetic plans and reports. I'd like to point out that there will be a reduction in vehicle access, vehicle movement, and the house will be for myself and my young family. The property will be a low carbon, triple glazed, air source heat pumped, grey water harvesting and highly insulated property. I ask that you fully support my application. There has been other properties very similar that have been passed in both the top of Hesworth and Cumberland.
Thank you very much for coming. We won't be discussing that in this meeting, and you are very welcome to stay for any or all of the meeting except the bit in private session, but you are also free to go now. It's up to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So now we will go to item 79, and Alex will give us his report.
Good evening, councillors. Thank you very much for allowing me to come into present to you this evening. As you'll be aware, we do have a problem with the roof, our two parts of the roof, the main roof and the kitchenette, which has been a continuous thorn in our tail, so to speak. We have made great strides in terms of trying to rectify the problem. In fact, that we did get an architect on board earlier this year who was able to draw up some plans. I think at the point of me last speaking to you, that was when we had the plans in terms of what they would look like. There has been a difference between what the original cost was stated by the architect when they first costed it up to what the final cost is likely to be to complete the works. There are several reasons for this. One of them is the instructions from the conservation officer in terms of making sure that the works are compliant and that we won't have to go back and redo anything other than the completion. It's been identified as the progress has been made. The kitchenette roof needs to have a raise on the parapet to ensure that water runs off it correctly, which is going to require some masonry work, which is highly skilled. This, alongside the fact that there are other parts of specialised work that needs to be completed in line with the Commissioner's Officer's report, alongside that we are struggling because we are a small job in comparison to contractors' other work out there. They don't see it as a big project. We did go out to tender, we only got 2 back. One of them was extortionate, one of them was more than reasonable, and they have slightly amended costs since we've kind of shown interest in the works. The challenge we've got is that with all that in consideration, that the costs have significantly increased. We have been very grateful for the support of the Parish Council so far, but to ensure that we can complete the works fully, we've already put against it the 40,000 which was given kind of by yourselves recently, plus the money that was already given towards the works. The indication is that this won't be enough to do the job in full. It is fair to say at this point that there was an option B, which would have been to do what I would call a part job on the kitchenette roof, but this isn't a long-term fix. This is only guaranteed up to 5 years, and the civic, the trustees have kind of committed to fixing the building with longevity in mind, and to make sure that we're not going to have to go back and repeat works and have further costs incurred later down the line. I did also come to you at the last meeting with the report that the architect done with the essential works that needs to be completed. To ensure that the building is going to be in good, sound mind towards the end of this year, we're going to be looking at a potential shortfall of £22,000 on the original costs. So the funds we currently have available are £60,143.77, and potentially the top end cost is going to be £81,896.34. I would like to say this is potential costs, and this isn't absolutely guaranteed. The additional costs which are going to be incurred potentially is if there's any delays or weather delays or anything beyond the control of the contractor at this stage. So these aren't guaranteed costs. It's going to be up to €22,000 we would ask for. It is up to, I think, doing on my own calculations, the lowest amount we're probably going to require is just over £10,000. So we are hoping that the job, as soon as we can get going, would only have a cost of up to £22,000, but hopefully at the lower end of what I've just suggested. With your permission, and hopefully with your blessing, if we are able to get the funding available to complete the works in full, we only have a 2-week lead time to get the contractors in and to start the works, so we know we can get this done relatively quickly. I probably would add at this point and close it off that unfortunately, due to the weather and due to the time of year that we're in now, we are really on a race against time in terms of getting this fixed. The building doesn't look any prettier. We are continuously getting comments from users, including yourselves, in terms of the interior of the building. That we, as much as you and anybody else, wants to get this fixed as soon as possible. So, thank you very much for listening. I believe you have all had the details. Everything is out there, but hopefully we will be able to get your support following tonight.
We can ask questions. We can ask questions of you, and I'm sure there will be quite a few. Before we start, we're not getting at you. We're very well aware of the difficult situation you found yourself in, and that all of you are working to do the best job you can to get this building the way we all want it to be. So can I see everybody who wants to ask a question, please? One? Just one?
Go on, Lawrence, you are.
Well, firstly, I don't want to repeat what Pat just said. Thanks so much to the trustees for all the work you're doing on our behalf and so on. I know this is specifically about the roof. No, I'm not going to press too much on that. You've got the figures and stuff. For me, there's a question about the repairs, these repairs and other repairs that we know are sort of in the pipeline. and how that fits into that. You've mentioned longevity and so on, how that fits into the bigger picture, when we can expect things such as the vision report, that I think is probably about a year since it was, I'm not sure, you know, we were first commissioning the architect for the survey and the vision report. Are you able to give us any sort of information around that?
Yeah, I can definitely clarify. So we only really started working with the architect this year. And the absolute priority was to work with him on the essentials list to ensure that the building can be maintained and we can identify the areas of priority over the next 10 years. In terms of talking about a vision, that's something we didn't put a timeline on, and I said it would be within a 2-year span, but to me, our priority as of the beginning of next year will be to work with the architect to look at what that vision is. It's really important that we don't rush this, because this is about looking about the future usage of the building, but it's also about taking the general public along on that journey with us as well. So as much as we will be working with the architect to get some drawings, to get a bit of a vision, to try and get different ideas in the scope in terms of what is the art possible with the Civic, we also need to do a period of consultation which will have a look at what the public wants to use the building for, to ensure that it's not just us sitting in an ivory tower, or not you guys, me, in an ivory tower dictating what the Civic's going to look like. We need to have a look at the potential users of those who are using it now and those of the future. So in terms of the vision, I'd like to think by the end of next year we should be in a very positive place in terms of where we're going to be. In terms of the essential works, they can start as of the beginning of next year once we've got the roof completed, because hopefully you guys will be able to grant another £40,000, which will kickstart that 10-year programme which was previously presented to you.
That's the end of next year.
So I would hope by the end of next year we would have a vision as to where we can take the Civic, what that would look like, presented it to you guys as well, done some consultation with the public, and then everybody's on the singing from the same hymn sheet.
Fine. I think before we move on, I think that. Thank you for coming. We will get back to you as rapidly.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome to come back when we finish this bit and listen to all the rest.
Yeah, so you got something better to do?
It's incredibly tempting.
We're on YouTube.
Yeah, we've done the postcard, we're going to lock the door.
I wouldn't want you to have to look at my face for any longer than is due necessary, so it's my time to leave. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, councillors. Appreciate your time.
We now go back to item 74, which is on the second page, or the back of the first page. It's the minutes of full council meetings we need to approve. Can somebody propose?
I propose we approve the minutes.
Right, all those in favour?
Let's go.
That's approved. There are any further matters arising from those minutes?
Just to say, minutes 2425 48 and 2425 26 from the 13th of May as well. The civic underlease. I previously reported that the underlease from the trust from 2017 has been shared with the parish council's legal representatives, still waiting for that written report.
Okay, thank you. Any other matters arising? No. Okay, that takes us on to item 75, which is the minutes of standing committees. Would the chairs of the various meetings like to propose their minutes, please?
Yeah.
Start with service provision.
Yeah, I wasn't actually at that meeting in July, but it has been passed at service.
Okay. We're just noting that one.
Yeah.
And the planning, likewise, if the planning chair wants to say something, but we are just noting that.
Yes, can we please note there's two, first of all, from the 15th of July and then the 12th of August. Can we please note both of those?
Thank you. Noted. Again, noting the F&M minutes. Andy, do you want to propose we note them?
Yes, please.
Right, thank you. And this one is actually to approve. The case committee, we need to approve their minutes. Could we have those proposed?
No.
That is brief, thank you. All those in favour of the case committee meeting? Thank you, that's substantially passed. Another planning one, Mary.
Can we please note the minutes from the 16th of September, please?
Noted.
Thank you.
And another F&M this time to approve.
Yes. Can you approve the minutes of the F&M from 30th of September?
All those in favour? Thank you, carried. That brings us, and we're not too far behind time.
4 minutes.
Beg your pardon?
4 minutes. Come on, we
Well,
need to do it.
I hold both records.
I know
I
you
hold
do.
the record for the longest and the other, so the more you pay me, the sooner you'll leave. Council budget 24-25. Rich, do you want to do this item, 7-6?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say. I mean, generally things are okay. The only problems we've got, I know F&M are fed up with me saying these things, but the only problems we've really got is in terms of our money being eaten into general reserves. Basically, the overspend on the insurance, and then as you will note from further on in the agenda, this £9,000 for one by-election was unexpectedly high. The previous ones that we did were Councillor Wilson and Councillor Buster, it only cost I think 4,000 for two, but this was 9,000 for one. So it is going to eat into our general reserves, which on the top of what we've heard from Alex tonight, we're not in as good a position as we would like to be, but neither are we in a disastrous position.
I think I'm right in saying we have asked Kirklees if they could explain to us.
That they have. I mean, things have obviously increased in price because of time and inflation and so on and so forth. I think what they said essentially was that the previous ones where Councillor Wilson was elected, that was an unusual situation because they were part of the Kirklees election cycle. So things that in the most recent by-election were all paid for by the parish council. Some of them were half paid by the parish council and half paid by Kirklees. So it was that election that was an anomaly rather
It was
than
a
this one.
standalone one.
Exactly.
Right,
So
thank you.
I think talking to members of the finance committee, I mean, we're conscious that we need to build something into the budget for next year. Just assume that you're going to have at least one by-election, at least, and build it in. Whilst we also need to keep paying into the pot to have 30,000 there in a few years' time. So yes, it wasn't great news that, but that's the situation we were in.
Sorry, Rich.
No, it's all right.
Are there any actions arising from this that we need to consider?
Yeah, do it quick till next time around.
Yes, nobody resigns.
Still it's cheaper.
Hugh,
Is this my by-election?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the same time as council elections,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
It wasn't just standalone.
that's true, but because it came rather late in terms of the cycle, we missed out on everything getting posted out at the same time, so we had to have a separate, the ballots were all sent out separately, so we had a separate separate Royal Mail costs and so on and so forth.
so in effect it was standalone even though,
Yeah,
okay.
not entirely, I mean, that's a fair point.
Okay, item 7.
Just a quick one, Rich, the insurance costs, am I glad to believe that we're sticking with the current insurer because of the roof situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think the problem was nothing to do with that really. Remember we had it revalued, so it was revalued at over £1 million. Was it over 10 million? 10 million quid. 10 million quid. So that was the reason why the insurance went up. However, a lot of that is paid back to us by the Civic because they reimburse us for it. So that probably won't be as disastrous as it looks currently. But yes, we don't have a lot of options at the moment.
To shop around basically because of the roof situation.
Yeah,
which
roof
hopefully-
and the walls coming in from the back.
Councillor Lyons?
Just throwing it out of there, sort of thing. Have you thought about asking the NFU? Because they insure big farms and buildings and things like that. Might be just worth a quote, and they're local, and they're invested,
Yeah,
and it's privately owned.
I think when we're at the point, I mean, I think as Councillor Brooke is saying, I mean, we're a bit stuck at the moment. I don't think many people would take us on with the stuff we've got going on. But I think once we're through that, I think we will be looking. Yeah.
They won't take it on with the kind of roof leaks we've got.
Not for much longer now.
So are there any other actions we need to consider it, or can we move on to item 77?
I don't think so.
Right. Item 77, schedule of payments, will stay with you.
Yeah, I mean, as you'll have seen, I mean, most of these are grants that were previously awarded, and then we've got one for the website, which won't have been previously approved, the election costs, which I've just commented on, poo bags, and then the final one is the one at the very bottom, which is an ex gratia payment. This was paying a neighbour back for damage done to a property by work on our building.
Right. Thank
I
you.
don't think any of them are controversial.
Can we note that schedule of payments?
No, you
please?
need to approve it.
Oh, no, it says note here.
It should be to approve.
It should be approved, okay. Can we approve? A show of hands, please. Thank you.
Sorry, I shouldn't have-
Item 78, back to you, Rich. It's your show for the time being.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a strange thing, this, but council has to tell me when to take the notice about the end of the AGAR down from the building outside. I have to keep it up. You know, I could have taken it down very quickly, so it's just a vote to to approve that I can take the notice down.
All those in favour? It's probably law. Now, that takes us, we've done item 79, so it takes us up to item 80. And we've gained a few minutes, so hey, let's go for it.
Just to say, I've raised a query with YLCA as councillors are aware regarding the paying back. I'm still awaiting feedback. When I get the feedback, rather than wait till the next meeting, I'll email it out to everyone.
Look. So are they contacting NALC, Jane? Is that the process?
That was what Sheena said they would do.
Right, but we don't know what they've done.
Apart from having the acknowledgement that they
Right,
received it, I've not heard any more from it.
Well, we keep our fingers crossed on that one. Item 81, referrals to monitoring officer. That's the clerk to report.
Yes, so at your last meeting on the 24th of June, it was noted that one referral concerning a councillor was to be considered by an assessment panel in relation to an alleged breach of the Code of Conduct, and that there were two further referrals that remained open. The assessment panel met, the report of a breach was not upheld. Any councillor involved has been informed of this outcome. This means that no further details will be released by the monitoring officer regarding that referral, and it's now concluded. The two further referrals, it's my understanding that they're not being taken forward, and so no further details will be forthcoming. So you are to note that there are no outstanding referrals at this time.
Excellent. Are there any actions? We've got to consider any actions. No. 8.2, poppy wreaths. We need to sort out who's laying which, where, and whatnot.
And just to say, I know Councillor Bellamy is not present at this meeting, but she's let me know that she is laying a wreath at Maltham on behalf of Kirklees.
So where do we need them? I would normally do the Holme one, but I'll be doing, as leader with me badge on, I'll be doing the Home First one. So will you read out which ones we need?
Right, so that's Councillor Colin for the Home for Everyone then. So Brock Coles last year, it's Councillor Fenwick.
Isaac said if Councillor Fenwick's unavailable that he'd do that one there, so if you want to approach both Councillor Fenwick and Isaac, who have given their apologies today, then they can clarify which of them could be doing it, but Isaac's definitely said he will do it.
Brilliant, thank you. Hepworth, it was Homebridge, it was Councillor Lyle's last
It
year.
was, but I think it was Councillor Whitelaw that was on holiday last time, so it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. On the 11th of November.
On the 10th.
It will be on the nearest Sunday.
Ten.
Do you want to check you're not on holiday, Terry?
Pardon?
You're going to be on holiday?
I don't know why you all think I'm.
I think the
I don't
town,
take any more than anybody else.
the town is a bit of an indication. Are you able to do it? Do you want to do
I
it?
don't know, I can't get some of that.
All right.
Well, if Councillor Whitelaw can't do it, I will do it.
Right.
You obviously have first refusal because it's your area. All right.
Okay, so, and Holme.
Well, if Councillor Bellamy is doing Miltham, which isn't in our council, but she is a parish. She's a Kirklees councillor, I guess.
Oh, where's, are you doing a reef anywhere for Kirklees?
Yeah, Holme.
Holme, would you like to, are you allowed to
Well, you could do ours as well, but it's the same service.
Don't particularly work to do too.
You could look like a pom-pom though.
But there's three other parish councillors that run it. I did it 2 years ago, so if Alison or Glenn want to do it.
I'm on holiday, I'm down south.
Well, in that case, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
Nice try.
Netherthorne, last year it was Councillor Rostron.
I'm involved in a student exchange on that day, so Councillor Brooks' information is interesting because Councillor Barnett would be the other one to do that. So if he's willing to do one, he could do the Netherthorne.
I think that's going to be dependent on what Councillor Fleming says.
Yeah.
If he decides that he wants to do it on there, but I'm sure it can muster somebody to put it further than those two.
I can't do the 10th.
You can? Yeah. Right, lovely. So I'll get in touch with Councillor Barnett. Have I got someone who can be on standby in Netherthorne? And then New Mill last year, Councillor Burke and Councillor Brooke, I think both did it.
Councillor First, if appropriate.
And up the Thorn last year it's Councillor Wilson. Councillor Holmes. And I think that's it.
Can I just suggest that I think your contact for Brockles and Holme will be different? Because Reverend Martin Shaw retired at the end of July.
Yeah,
There's a temporary person in at the moment.
yeah, and I think there's someone new coming into New Mill as well.
Sean's
Okay, that's, and now we need to note that we're spending £160 on the poppy wreaths. Noted. Consider,
So just to
we've just done the
representation.
considering, yes. We did the considering first. And then we've got the one about the meeting of there was a complaint made against the council. And none of it was upheld. There were 4 complaints made. And I must say, I want to interject here to say, the clerk put in hours and hours and hours of homework, research and compiling the case for this council. Am I allowed to say broadly the area? It was
No.
After we've switched off, I can mention who it was. But the clerk did a massive amount of work and it paid off because all 4 of the complaints were knocked out. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Just to say that the complaint panel, as the chair just said, 4 complaints were considered, no complaint was upheld. The complaints panel did though request that the clerk review any policy pertaining to councillors' use of social media in acknowledgement of the concern having been raised. And this will happen in due course. And I propose to bring any amendments or comments regarding that to the December meeting. And just to say that all councillors are, as always, encouraged to reflect on their use of social media and ensure that this continues to meet the standards set out in Holme Valley Parish Council policy. So you're being asked to note the outcome. What I will say is that other councillors who people who were brought into this issue in any way, once this has been noted in this meeting, I will be in contact with you in due course to give you some feedback.
We're not suggesting there's any malicious intent in any use of social media, but when something has gone to a complaints panel or something, I think it's probably safest not to make any comment at all on social media while it's still under consideration. We can't be too careful. Councillor Whitmore.
Just as a point of information, I guess, is that we have an ongoing communications policy that is, you know, will come to full council in due course and will mention the use of social media.
We just need to be ultra careful when we're speaking as councillors. That's that bit, yes. Adjustments to the meeting schedule.
This is to accommodate my workload. The staffing agenda was supposed to be going out tomorrow. It is not going, well, it can't possibly go out tomorrow because I've not been able to do it in time. So I have been in touch with everyone on the staffing committee. All members have indicated they're available to change the date to Monday the 18th of November. But that has to be approved by full council.
Can I see hands on that, please? That looks. Rights of way relating to the civic.
Yes, so the letter that I sent out to you, as you know, that hasn't formed part of the published information pack that went onto our website because it was legally privileged information. But it's just for you to note that the matter of the rights of way regarding the civic is now in.
Thank you. Are there any further actions that we?
No, I mean Rich was talking about the ex gratia payment made to a resident. That was with reference to
Right.
this item.
Okay, review of committee structure and meeting schedule. We're due here to get an update from a working group, but as I understand it, this is really for information only. It's not, they haven't concluded anything, so it's not a proper full report back. And I also understand that the working group would like to extend invitation to people to join this working group who weren't originally on the committee that kicked it off, because they feel they should be spreading wider than just the case committee to look at, because they're now looking at kind of all the committee meetings and schedules and all the rest, all the councils. So would you like to speak briefly to that, either of you?
I'm going to speak initially.
So yeah, Case wondered if we needed to exist or not. We were frustrated with the time it took to get decisions through Case and then through wait for full council, and then you estimate an amount of money and then you need a bit more money, so it has to go through that whole procedure again. We've looked at all the other parish and town councils with Kirklees, also at Ilkley and Shipley, which we thought were similar sized towns. Not everybody does it, in fact everybody does it differently. It's not set in stone that we have to do it this way. Quite a few of the other councils don't have a standalone planning committee. There's no legal obligation for us to have a planning committee. We don't have to get unduly involved in plans. I mean, the lady's appeal here, she should be saying that to Kirklees, because Kirklees will make the decision at the end of the day, not us. So these are the suggestions we've come up with. There are 3 alternative meeting schedules that we could have. The thing that we're trying to improve is having more regular full council meetings. More regular full council meetings, for example, with the issue with the civic roof, would allow us to act more expeditiously in allowing the money to be spent in the civic when it needs to be spent. If we had more meetings a year, there's a suggestion to have one every 6 weeks, or another suggestion to have one a month. If we did that, it might lighten the number of items on the agenda at each meeting, and it would allow for more considered discussion.
Yep.
We also believe that things like the toilets and buses and the civic get discussed at Case, they get discussed at service provision, I'm sure they get discussed at finance. Do we need to be having all these three discussions? Why don't we just all have one discussion about it, spend a decent amount of time on it, come to a reasonable decision and take action? So the proposals are all aimed at allowing the council to take more efficient action and also it would in overall reduce the amount of meetings and minuting and agendas that the clerks have to send out, and that would free up time for them to be able to implement the actions that we all agree in council.
Thank you.
So that's the rationale behind. The information is attached to the agenda, the proposals. It's how we're going to actually implement it. How far do you want to cut back planning? I appreciate some people might not want to cut back planning at all, but that's kind of our recommendation. So if we're going to go forward, we want it to include probably the chairs of all of the committees in discussing what the benefits are and whether, I mean, we discussed for some time at service provision, should the civic be with service provision? Sorry, no, should the allotments be with service provision? Should they be with, well, they should be with service provision, but they're currently on finance. And also, we talked about a lot of case. So, and the civic, is the civic a service provision issue? Because actually we don't provide any of the activities that go on in here, we're subcontracted out, don't we? So our only involvement really with the civic is financial. So why is it the service provision? So to move this forward and hopefully come up with some improvements as suggested, we want to increase the working week.
So if we're going to include all the chairs of the committees anyway, I think that do we need to vote on that, or come into working group?
This is just our suggestion.
No, I think it's an excellent idea. I think it's a. But are there other people who are not chairs of a committee who would like to be on this working group?
Can I just say that I appreciate what you're saying about planning, but...
No, hang on. I'm asking if there are people who want to be on the group. We'll come to your point in a minute. Any people want, other than the chairs there's going to be that aren't already on it? Okay, Councillor Long.
I appreciate what you're saying about the planning situation, but like the person who came in earlier to discuss their planning application, it was because we as local councillors had been approached by members of the public who were concerned about that particular planning application. And when we looked at that planning application, we gave them guidance as to why that planning application should be refused, and then they went on their merry way, right? That situation is something that a local councillor would know more about than a Kirklees councillor, and we have also streamlined that planning process. Mary has put something in place that we were trialling that worked extremely well at that meeting. We were in and out in an hour. So although the situation is that I appreciate you want to streamline the meetings, if you don't want to be on the committee, don't be on the committee. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Okay, can we move on? Because we've got Andy and Sarah. Oh, well, Sarah first.
Just to say that, you know, obviously I support what Chris has explained here. I think it really does come down to whether the structures and ways of working of this council best serves the needs of the community that we are there to serve. So that's the whole point of having this review. And that means that you've got to look at every little bit of it, including planning, and I absolutely understand what you're saying, Joe. But this is part of a process, it seems to me, of looking at how we work and whether we work in the most efficient way to the benefit of the community. So, given that all of us are going to be asked to approve whatever it is this committee comes up with, I think the more you get involved with it, the better at early stages, would be my view.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Wilson.
I think we can be very much in favour of streamlining wherever we can. And it's right, I think, that we look at everything. The thing that does concern me is the planning one, though. I do think there's an expectation amongst the public that we do get involved with local planning. And we see that quite often in our planning meetings where we have members of the public. And okay, we have limited ability to affect planning, but nevertheless there's an expectation there. And I think for me personally, it's one of the main reasons I joined the council, that I like very much where I live. I like to think I can affect as much as I can the area I live in. I think on a practical note, if we don't meet every month, then there's not much point meeting because we miss the deadlines.
I think we're having some of the discussions that need to be had in the working group now that all the chairs of the, and I don't disagree, I'm not trying to shut you up, well I am trying to shut you up. But I don't mean forever, I mean...
Before I leave that,
yeah.
I think yes, there are other opportunities clearly. Grants is another one I think we look at consolidating. F&M, we don't have to have an exact cycle of meetings. We find with F&M that some are busy meetings, some are...
I think there are all sorts of possibilities.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things we can
The
do.
working group has more to do with the input of the chairs of the committees. And we need, I think I would ask whoever the leader of the working group to get some dates fixed where most people can come as soon as possible, really. Councillor?
Just to sort of try and bring a closure to this one, could I suggest that the chairs for each of the committees attend the working group and then potentially bring ideas forward as to what we can consolidate and take it back to each group for further discussion, so we don't all of that independently, so planning can discuss planning, case can discuss case, etc. So we don't have that tonight, and then once that's been decided, then they can meet again, and hopefully we can all agree with recommendations. So that's what I'll suggest there.
Good idea. Does everybody support that proposal? Yeah? Good. Thank you. That brings us to the whole council training, and there are two elements to this, one of which is much simpler than the other. I, at some point, I was agreed that I would be willing to do the training for people who had not been able to attend. There are 3 or 4 or 5 people who weren't able to attend. I am happy to repeat that training. I'll get the list from the clerk of who wasn't there and send some emails out, and we'll see if we can fix a date. It'll obviously be a lot shorter because there'll be a small number of us, and I'll just make people hurry. So that's the way we can trickle it out to those people who weren't able to attend. So you will receive dates. I'll get the list from the clerk. And then the other bit, which is the trainer recommended we review at our model of conduct, our code of conduct. Not least because, if nothing else, to remove the overlooked references to Kirklees when it was cut and pasted. But she felt quite strongly that we should probably adopt the YALC or NALC, whichever it was, because it was it covered off a lot more detail and gave more guidance. I feel that we should have a working group to look at both of them. I am not happy to just swallow it because the trainer recommended it, to be truthful. I think we need to pick and choose and allow some areas of common sense. So, for instance, if we adopted the YALC one, if you declared an interest, you wouldn't be, not a pecuniary interest, you wouldn't be allowed to stay in the room and discuss it. Well, there are obviously lots of occasions where you want people who've got a personal interest to stay in the room and discuss the issue. We may not wish them to vote, but so I think we need a working group to look at the various codes of conduct available and come up with one that works for us. I think it would be a good idea if a member of the clerk team were on that working group, though not behaving as the clerk for it, but being part of it, if you think that's okay.
Yeah, that would be fine.
And I'd like some volunteers, please. This is a really important thing to do. Nobody.
Depends what the working group is, because it's always when I'm at work.
Well, we've been meaning to address this. We will have it in the evening.
Fine, I'll volunteer.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. So we've got Councillor Hyde, Councillor Blacker, anybody else? Well, have a think if you find, I mean, the initial bit will be a lot of detailed reading and looking at ins and outs. It'll get more interesting when that stage is over, but it shouldn't be a lengthy, I mean, other than the reading of the detail, it shouldn't be a really lengthy process, should it? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. That's it, isn't it? On that one. Evaluation, general report on the evaluation of training.
And just to say that the revised evaluation form went out with papers, and it includes a section on actions to be taken following training. So really approval is wanted for that revised evaluation form. If approval is given, what I'll then do is to send that revised form out to all councillors who have been on training since the 24th of June onwards, and hopefully get those evaluations back that they can be shared in December's meeting.
All those in favour of the new form? Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we have a definition of what training actually means? The reason I ask is that I went to the parish at the Peak District Parish meeting day on Saturday, and I would class that as training, given my experience there, but it wasn't billed as training. So I'm just wondering whether, you know, if anybody feels that they've had some learning from something that they've attended, then maybe they feel one of these, because
That's an
there's
excellent
certainly more
suggestion.
actions.
Yeah. It
From
doesn't
that,
have to be. It doesn't have to be a yalp or an alp or
No.
yeah. No.
Okay, thank you.
Item 89, the COVID Memorial Working Group. Councillor Blacker, are you talking about that?
I am talking about it, but I'll be pretty brief. We were expecting to be able to open the COVID Memorial Garden at Holme Library on the 7th of December. However, we've run into a substantial snag, which involves the planning application for the extension at Holme Library, which has to prove a biodiversity net gain. Now, the document that's gone in is a plan of the existing garden with quite a lot of bushes in. Obviously, we're intending to remove quite a few. We are putting in five fruit trees and some additional bushes. But at the moment, we can't change anything in the garden without getting the agreement to Kirklees Council planners. So there's somebody from the Friends of Holme Library who is liaising with Kirklees planners. I think this is a substantial problem, but I think it's one that will be overcome. So as a consequence of that, I think I'm proposing that we delay the opening until April 25, by which time we will have got the fruit trees in, and so then and it would be alongside the opening of the science one as well. So I'm afraid it's postponement. This seems to be taking an extremely long time. Well, it's quite a small project, but we're having a lot of support from the Friends of Holme Library, so I don't think nothing's lost really.
Do we need to approve expenditure from earmarked reserves for you?
Yeah.
I've got a note to myself that we have to approve.
No, I don't think, no.
What was this called?
You're asking for a good smack.
Okay, that's that then. Item 90, a drop box for councillors. This is for information. That's going to happen and will be helped to use it when it does.
Can I just ask, I did that last week, can we be helped to use it? Because actually, as soon as I saw that, my first response was, I don't know what a Dropbox is. You know, and it raises this thing that I think myself and quite a few other people would benefit from some IT training. So I want to ask how this can be set up, whether we want to do it as a staff help with, because some people are experts, but it's not a shared skill that we all have. So we can't assume that a Dropbox will be something that we can all use.
I think we will need to start, senior hand, I'll come to you, we'll need to start with a sort of audit of skills, and that'll be self-defined, but I think we'll ask everybody to say, how good do you think you are at this? How confident are you? What do you think you're good at? Maybe we could have a list of things that can you do this? Do you know what it is? kind of list. And then aim not to make people in the middle truly expert, to make people like me at the bottom competent. Really, I think that's what you're saying, isn't it? So can we organise? Would you? I mean, obviously we need somebody who does know about computers to design the questionnaire, because Jenny and I can't. So could maybe a member of the clerical team come up with a list?
Well, what I would say is, I think you're thinking it's a far more complicated thing than it actually is. It's literally just a filing system.
No, but there is more that we can't do.
There is.
Jenny and I do struggle. I can't print PDFs, for instance. I don't know how to make a PDF. So there is a need for auditing councillors' skills and providing at the basic level. I attempted to enrol for a Kirklees course called Essential Digital Skills at Dewsbury, and I went and I enrolled, and the course hasn't happened. I've never heard a word since.
It happens in Beth Library, that part, every Thursday. I'll send you the details.
Right.
But I am a qualified IT trainer, I will write you some instructions and a questionnaire.
Okay, thank you. If you design the questionnaire skills, we can do an audit. Hang on.
An audit of our...
You design the questionnaire, Jo, then we'll find out how many people feel they need, and then we can set it up. Thank you very much.
I'll give you a little video to show you what to do.
Thank you very much, that's great. That takes us up to ward asset registers.
Yes, just to say that I am aware there are a number of amendments to ward asset registers outstanding. I will update them before the next full council meeting, and in the meantime I'll distribute them to members by email or post it if preferred. Just not had time to do it. Okay, but it will follow for everyone at the next full council meeting, but particularly for ward councillors. I'll send you out your ward one updated when I've done it.
And we're doing another one, we're doing every year.
But it's just a continual process. So, for example, John did quite a lot of painting of benches maybe a month or so ago.
Yeah.
So I need to add all of those on things as well.
Okay, thank you. Item 92 is to approve paying for the election we've had. It's not really optional.
It's to approve where it comes from as much as anything. It's whether it comes from general reserves, or we could potentially take some of it from the earmark reserve. As I've written, I'd be just inclined to take it from the general reserves.
Well, I need you to vote on whether we approve the reserve from whether what Richard just said. All those in favour?
I propose we take it from general reserves like Richard suggested.
Right, all those in favour? Done.
I was listening, Rich.
Thank you.
Right, referrals from standing committees, F&M, Grants Working Group, I guess that's me. The report's attached. It's moved on from the last one we did. We all know that the first grant application that comes in won't fit even the new one, so they'll be, oh, we didn't think of that. But we think it's as watertight as it can sensibly be, and certainly F&M is happy with this report, so we are proposing it to council to approve. Can I see all those in favour? Thank you. And that is for both the grants process and the guidelines for applicants, which are part and parcel of the same thing. There are four items, all of which comprise what we're recommending. New model number 94, new model financial regulations. This is for you, Rich.
Yeah. So partly this was to do with what we were trying to do was a similar thing to what Councillor Green is trying to do, and try and make the council work more efficiently, whilst at the same time kind of protecting it from the opportunities for fraud. This is the first updated financial regulations that have come from NALP for about 5 years. So it's quite an important thing. It's taking account of the modernisation of banking essentially. So it's more conscious of things like internet payments and cards and stuff like that. So I thought I'd just, so this has been recommended by F&M, so it has come through them, but I thought I'd just run you through some of the sort of headline stuff that we've recommended. First off, as you're probably aware, committees currently can approve expenditure up to £5,000. What we're saying is committees can approve expenditure up to £10,000. We're hoping that'll make things a bit easier in that you're not having to go to council to make big decisions. The second one is about earmark reserves. Now, only council can create earmark reserves, but we said that committees can spend from their earmark reserves. They don't have to come to council to make those decisions. So committees can spend from earmark reserves up to £10,000. The third thing is that the clerk and myself will now be able to approve payments. This is payments of actual cash money. This would allow us, so at the moment, if we want to do things off the cuff, like pay for our subscriptions to things over the internet, we generally have to pay out of our own money. So quite often, me and Jen are hundreds of pounds out of pocket, which is obviously not an ideal situation. So what the suggestion is that we subscribe to the Unity Trust multi-pay card, which is like a credit card, but you have to pay it off each month. And then we have a limit of £500 for approving payments of everyday things. I think this will facilitate the council, and we're not waiting around for council meetings and financial meetings to approve payments. Then another thing we've said is that we would like committees to have a 3-year plan for what they do. That either means you come up with a very detailed 3-year plan, or it may be that we're just building like an inflationary factor into the process. And then the last one I suppose I would point out is that the only unspent money from a budget that can be rolled over into an earmark reserve at the end of the year is money that has been set aside from a project. So a project that has not been finished, that money could be rolled over. Any other kind of random money, that doesn't roll over. That just slides into general reserves. So that's where we're at basically. I think it does make the council potentially more efficient. We've tried to balance things out so that the opportunities for fraud from the councillors, the clerks, or anybody else are limited. But I hope it'll be a useful thing. It's not necessarily there forever, but it's something we think is workable, that we can look at over the next sort of year or so.
Okay, I'm assuming there aren't any other questions?
Just a bit of an observation, Julia. We did talk about maybe having a review of this after a few months.
Yeah.
Just to see how well or badly it's working.
Yeah.
I think that might be worth it.
Well, we could fix it, what should we say, 6 months from now we'll review it.
Yeah.
Okay, can I see all those in favour? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Will this change the grants process then as well? Because before, any grants which were £5,000 had to go to full council. So now if the committee does give up to 10,000 now, they can just go through Finance and Management Committee and not to go to full council?
That's right.
Okay.
All those in favour? Thank you. All those against? Abstentions? Right, that's unanimous. Thank you. I think I should stress we have to start right now with this, don't we, Rich?
Yeah, but the idea is that particularly with regard to the 3-year plan thing, obviously we've got budgeting coming up, so if the budgeting committees can be thinking about 3-year plans, that would be useful.
Yeah. And that effect, I mean, yes, some of you, your next committee meeting will be your budget meeting, so you need to remember. You can't roll stuff over if it isn't already started, and you need 3-year plans, please.
No quitting.
Item 95, the service provision, Gart side. And why have I got service provision in there?
Because these are referrals from committees.
Oh, I'm with you. So, Gartside, Clark, you're going to make
So, there's not really a lot to say further, apart from the fact I'm happy to answer any questions about this recommendation from the Service Provision Committee.
Chair, could I just add to what Jim said, which is that we are working in partnership, I think, with the tenants. We're not writing a blank check. Generally, these are improvements that we think are appropriate and actually benefit us as well as the owners of that particular building.
Thank you. Are we all happy to vote on that? Yeah. All those in favour? Thank you. All those against? Abstentions? 1, 2, 3. Put your hand up. 3. Thank you. Defibrillators. Essentially, service provision is saying we should take on responsibility for a further 2. Do you need any further explanations or anything before we move to a vote? No? All those in favour of taking on? Thank you. All those against? Abstentions? Unanimous. And then referrals from the big community celebration. And before they do a feedback, I have here, we need councillors to be available all day. I don't mean everybody has to be available all day. I mean, we need somebody to do shifts on the council stand, and the land charity will be next to it as well. I'm handing round, I've put my name on for 3 shifts. I expect everybody, if they've got a very good reason, to be volunteering for this, please. You only have to do a couple of hours. So I'll set it off in this direction, and it's going to come round. Please put your name in there.
No, I've got another shift already on there for do Cliff Reckon. I need to find out when that is.
Yeah.
So before I come in.
There will be people.
I will be there. I will be there.
There'll be other people like Tom who are going to be here but don't know what time they're going to be free. That's going to happen. But please, we need every box. We need people in. So, on that note, would the big celebration people like to report to us?
Well, I personally think this is going to be a fantastic event, and you've got the posters and things, flyers that we want people to
I have. Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, we do need it. This is us showcasing what we do. This is our chance to talk to our community, get their feedback, and let them know what we are doing. We've had a fantastic response from storeholders. We've got 45, over 40 different groups who are going to have stalls. So now we've got, I think we're using nearly all the tables we've got. So we're filling up the downstairs hall and the lesser hall. So it's going to be fairly squashed. It's going to be, so there's groups, there's
We've got to turn people away.
Yeah, we are turning people away now. There's a waiting list.
Yeah.
So we've got sports groups, health groups, well-being, environment, arts, Quaker. Who else have I missed? We think it's a very wide representation of all the different groups that are coming. And we've got, fantastically, 6 music groups who are willing to perform. So if we think it's a 6 hours, so the event for the public starts at 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock. So each music group is going to start on the hour, you know, punctual as usual. So they'll probably perform for half an hour and then there's time for turnover. But we've got an orchestra, we've got soul choir, we've got a brass band, we've got male voice choir. What else have we got? We've got 6 different kinds of music going on throughout the day. The cafe is going to be open. Pat, you're going to open the ceremony and announce the first music thing. So the Holme Valley Parish Council, we're going to be in the entrance hall welcoming everybody. So it does need 2 people on the stall all throughout the day. I thought the rota that's going round is got, we'll need to be here from 8 o'clock because we've got to get tables set up. Stall holders will be coming from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. They'll want the tables out ready to go. So those first couple of hours, definitely all of us who've been on the organising, that's myself, Lawrence, Sarah, Mary and Donna, will be helping setting it up. And it's going to be great. And Gemma's been fantastic. Gemma's helped us absolutely loads to get the posters and things. So we want people to take these flyers and posters out, put a poster up wherever you can,
Get the word out.
promote it as much as you can. Anything I've not said? What have I not said, Sarah, Mary, Lawrence?
I don't think, I mean, Gemma is going to be doing some of the, more of the social media shortly, but really putting out posters and taking it out into your wards and giving them to everybody and his dog, I think, really. Although it's not a doggy event.
Have we got a list of exhibitors, is that the
Yeah,
right word?
we can. Do you want to know?
Yeah, just read it out, it'd be
Just
interesting
read it
to
out.
know.
If I could have a copy.
40 names on it.
Well, I'd be interested to know.
Okay.
Oh, is it 40? Oh, okay.
45, yeah, so it's not.
45.
Maybe you could email it to us and we can.
I mean, we really did try and invite all the groups we could think of. Rotary didn't respond. But no, it's a mix, it's a really good mix of festivals.
But we'll send it, we can send it out
We
to
can
the
send
family.
it, if you email it out to us, that would be great. And thank you to the group who's done this for the enormous amount of work you've done. You kind of, you invented it and then made it happen, which is great. And thank you.
With the approval of the full council.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody voted for it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, well, we get behind what we've decided we want to do. Yeah.
So if at the end of the meeting there are these size flyers and also a full size, and if people could take some of those to distribute, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Biodiversity policy. Do you need Kate to say a lot in addition to the policy as presented in our papers?
I think so. That's it.
So can I, are there people who want to ask questions before we move to a vote? Okay. Can I see all those in favour of adopting the revised biodiversity policy? Thank you. Against? Abstentions? That's unanimous. The new website, which is now live. I assume it did happen on the tape.
This is for information. It happened a bit later than we wanted really. It was Friday rather than Thursday that it happened. So apologies for that. There were issues getting our original website provider to give the information needed to the new one. Anyway, it is all sorted and it is live now. And you know, thank you to all the councillors who took part in choosing that website in particular, and thanks also to Gemma.
To Gemma in particular, yeah, I think we'd all like to thank Gemma for this, because she's very much the leader on there.
I would certainly like that absolutely limited. The amount of work that Gemma has put in, not only to the website, reinvigoration, design, the whole package, but also the forthcoming rebrand as well. She's putting in an enormous amount of work to very good effect.
Yes.
So many thanks.
So if we can officially minute our thanks and gratitude. Okay, the solar panels. This is a bit of a blow.
From the Green Council. Yeah, as I understand it, the deadline has been extended, but you do need to make a decision really as to whether you want us to press ahead with the planning application or withdraw it.
Right. Councillor Ramsby, then Councillor Lyle.
Yes, Chair, I had a conversation with the planning officer dealing with this matter. She has gone back to the conservation team within the planning department after I sort of pointed out that some of the things that are in this letter that have come from the conservation team are vague to the extent of being pointless. She's hoping to have a response by the end of this week and will communicate with the clerk with that answer. But I have told her that if it is refused, we will go to appeal.
Well, we haven't voted on
No,
that
but
yet.
we are mindful to go to appeal.
We haven't voted on
No.
anything. Take that back.
But the
Don't
discussion
just
we had
remove that remark.
the discussion we had in planning was we were mindful of appeal
But
should
we
there be a
don't
refusal.
indulge in veiled threats to
No,
officers.
it wasn't a threat.
It's
It was-
similar to the footpath man.
It was
No
not
more
a
politely.
chair.
I'm sorry, I'm ruling you out of order, Councillor Anby. It's out of order. We finished. Joe, you wanted to speak.
I don't remember saying we'll take it to appeal. But anyway, right. Is there any way that we can work with the planning officer and the conservation area to change the solar panels so they aren't so visually impacting? There is lots of options with panels where you can have them slightly
The thing is, right now, the decision we have to make tonight is, do we pursue the application? Where there is room for changing things, I'm not sure where that fits in the timing, but we have to decide whether we're continuing with the application or withdrawing it. Councillor?
I propose we let the planning run its course. It's in line with the council's objectives. We've set money aside and discussed that. There's been a worthy course for that one there. And we see where it goes, and beyond that one, then we have further discussions as to where it might go beyond that if we don't get that approval.
Yeah.
I'd like to propose that.
Councillor Grieve?
The kind of solar panels that are mounted on brackets above have kind of fallen out of favour in conservation areas. Insect solar panels are more acceptable, and they've gone in quite a few areas in the national parks.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it might be the design that's the issue, and I think that would probably be a discussion to be had with officers.
Yeah. Councillor Blacker?
No, it's fine, Councillor Brooks said what I was going to say.
All right. Councillor Lyles?
If it looks like it's going to be refused, we could have a conversation to withdraw it and adjust the plans and put them back in at a free charge.
Yeah.
Just say
I think what we need, I think I'm going to take a vote in a minute, but it's looking as though we all agree we want to continue with the application. And then do whatever it needs to get it through if there is a way of getting it through.
Yeah.
Am I right in reading you in this way?
Yes.
Okay, so can we vote on that? Thank you. All those against? Abstentions? Right. Okay, thank
Is
you.
that a bit vague?
Oh.
Can I just ask, what do we need to do? We're not going to withdraw it, but what do we need to do?
We just leave it on the table, we submit it.
We don't need to do anything
No.
in addition to that. Okay, fine.
Clark.
Can I just clarify, I know you've already taken the motion, but does that mean then that you want to continue with the application, not withdraw it, or want to be crystal clear?
Correct.
No.
Yeah.
But like, if the officer comes back to us and says to us, you need to change it, like what Joe and Charles have said, then is there any point in letting it just go ahead? Isn't it better we withdraw it and then just change it?
Well, the thing is that the conservation if the conservation team come back and say, with a more detailed thing, this is what you need to do, the officer will tell us if she's going to still refuse it on grounds of the conservation area's advice, conservation team's advice. We would then stop the application, ask for a pause, we don't have to withdraw it, right? And then we can say to her, if we adjust the plans, can we resubmit it? And she will allow us to do that with no additional cost. So if you work with the planning officer, we wouldn't have to withdraw the application.
It is, I'm going to now play devil's advocate for me. If we do all of that and she says, no, we're going to refuse it, we then still have the option of pursuing it. And if we wanted to, later, though we wouldn't threaten it, we could appeal. And we need to think now, if, despite our willingness to compromise, we're still getting a no, are we still voting to pursue it?
the cost of a
No, hang on, I'm asking everybody really.
We've already looked at
Charles.
it.
Are we using a planning agent or are we doing this directly?
Sorry, say that again.
Are we using a planning agent to make this application? Because if we are, we should really be following their advice and guidance.
We've done it ourselves.
No.
We're doing it ourselves, yeah. Okay.
I mean, this is pre-application advice at the moment.
No, it's not.
No,
Oh,
it's
isn't it?
not.
Oh, I thought it
No,
was. Okay.
no.
Right. Well, do people want to pursue it?
Yes,
Yes.
we voted on it.
Even if we get indications it will be turned down?
We've already voted.
Right, okay. We move on. Chair's report.
No,
Since
local
No,
plan
well, no,
review.
what? Local plan review.
Oh, the local plan review, sorry. We've got a local plan working group. I think I can guess what's going to happen here. We need more people on it.
We do, yes. There's a lot of, this involves a lot of work and partnership work with local organisations as well. So we do need new, I understand that Councillor Lyles is volunteered to join it. That's good.
I was out of the country and everything. On holiday.
So we will meet, the next meeting will be in the evening.
Can you remind us who's on it, Mary?
Sorry?
Can you remind us who's on it?
There's Andy and me and who's the other one? Steve.
Is it me?
Steve.
No, you wouldn't join, I asked.
I don't know.
Councillor Whitelaw, then Councillor Ryler.
I'll go on it.
All right, Councillor Whitelaw as well. Thank you. Councillor Ryler.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask just for a bit more information about it.
But it
What
has,
it would involve.
it has really quite a wide remit. So it's responding to the Parish Council review of its local plan. So it is a very wide ranging document.
It's a response document.
Right. I'm happy to be involved. Yeah.
Good.
Smashing. Thank you. Councillor Green.
A genuine question, so would it be fair to say that this has more impact on Kirklees Council's planning decisions than our actual planning?
No.
Absolutely.
I would say so. Yes. I mean, it covers a wide. It covers a wide.
So this may be the one opportunity we can influence Kirklees planning applications.
Yes, and there are a number of other, and obviously the neighbourhood plan list will be coming up for review as well. So there are issues that the planning committee or whatever it's going to be called, and may be called, to handle in addition to planning.
Councillor Green, I recommend you join. It's quite interesting. It's about environmental impact and building on the green belt.
Okay.
He's not confident.
So can you vote on that then? You've got Councillor Lyles, Councillor Whitelaw and Councillor Ryler joining as additional members.
Can I see all those in favour? Thank you. All those against? Abstentions? Thank you. So 102. A report. Since the 15th of May, I went to the Huddersfield Civic Ceremony in May, which was nice, interesting in the church, and it was lovely because it was quite a cold spring morning, and that day it was sunny, and I went into town. All the bells were ringing and everything. It was delightful. The 22nd of May was the mayor making at the town hall, and that's a ceremony which they said untruthfully that because the two people proposing the mayor and the two people proposing the deputy mayor make speeches, and this was introduced that everybody had been told to limit themselves to 2 minutes. That was not true.
You've reported on some of these
Come on.
on the 24th of June.
Anyway, so on the 29th of June I went to Holme Show, presented prizes to the youngsters who were there, and we had a couple of Afghan brother and sister who won some prizes, which was nice. I went to the preview of the in July of the Art Week. On the 8th of September I went to Meltham Civic Service, where we collected the Carlisle, marched to the church, had a service and a sandwich afterwards. 27th of September, the art exhibition reception. 28th of September, Murfield Civic Service. And Saturday just gone, Hebden Royd Civic Service. So that's what I've done.
Been busy enough, haven't you?
And I'm not claiming from Chair's expenses the tenner I feel obliged to put in the offertory every time I go to a church service, because I'm putting it in for a council. I can't put a couple of quid I put in for myself, really. Reports from Kirklees ward councillors, anything that you, Charles and Jane, we have here. No, it's just Charles and Jane, isn't it? That you feel needs to be told to us or you wish to share?
No, I have nothing to report. I think I won't extend the meeting any longer.
Charles, have you got anything?
No, and it's really quite vague. I prefer if there was some questions or something.
I've got some questions.
I'm sure you do.
Charles, you asked for it, Joe. Do questions 1 to 3 and then pause.
But there is one got this bit to say about Kirklees councillors to report. There are an awful lot of members who are supposed to be on an awful lot of local things that I'm also on, who are appointed by the parish council, who should be making the reports back, not me.
Yeah, we've had this discussion and we agreed we'd have it on the agenda, so stop arguing about whether we should have it on the agenda. We've agreed it. And we had a long discussion and you were very much against it, I do remember. But you can stop making the same point. We know you don't want to. Have you got anything you want to share with us?
No, I'm fine with questions.
I've got some questions. First of all, can we please have the data for the SIDS? Because we've paid, not really, but we do own some SIDS, and the data that we've got is from February. And I want to know when people speed and the data's on the SIDS, right, what the councillors are doing about informing West Yorkshire Police about people going 45 miles an hour past a school in Netherthorne. I also would like to know why nobody from planning ever gets back to us about issues that we raise in planning. They're the two main
There's
things.
one thing on the SIDS, they don't let people know who did the speeding. They don't record that. They say
No, but they say that it's a if it's a percentage increase, they're supposed to report it to the police. That's the policy, and we don't know if they are, because nobody ever answers. And even
I'd love to answer both of those, and I'd be more than happy to.
We have an email from Councillor Crook answering those questions, so yeah.
Well, what did he actually answer him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to give them, I was going to share them at planning.
Okay, so they'll be made known at planning. We don't need to continue.
I mean, if Charles wants to comment.
Jane, you can answer though, if you know the answer.
I have a hand up.
Jane's next.
Okay. Regarding the SIDS, because the parish council puts in money for SIDS, it doesn't mean that they own the SIDS. And this is feedback that I've had. So it's not like it's your SID, even if you've chosen where it is. And the council are reluctant to give that information out to the public because of the effect that might have. However, that information will go out to the ward councillors, and I have already it will go out to the ward councillors, and I've already passed that information on.
So that will
a few
look
days
at
ago.
planning.
So you can have that information, but we would ask that it doesn't go any further than that meeting. Or any of these meetings.
Can I say that I wrote to Councillor Ryder last week, and I got a very prompt reply with the information about 3 of the SIDS. that are in our area.
Right, so that
Which is just
information
so
has
nice,
been
yeah.
given to us and
Yeah.
will be fed through intern. It'll go to planning first. Okay, thank you, ward councillors.
There was a second question.
Yeah, there was a second question. The second question was, why when we ask planning to respond to us, do they blatantly ignore us?
Well, I think the wider answer to that I would suggest is that Holme Valley Parish Council needs to work with the other towns and parishes to get an updated charter between Kirklees and towns and parishes. What I can tell you is the arrangements over in Wakefield work, and there doesn't seem to be the same issue. Their charter's up to date, but there's going to be a willingness to do it. And some of that is how towns and parishes have structured themselves, so that they can't be fielding questions from 23 people. In some respects, it'd be a case of a single contact, as in the client coming to the council. That's how they do it in Wakefield.
Right, it might be of interest to our two Kirklees councillors that in our whole council training, it was reported that Calderdale and Kirklees are the two worst in terms of ever getting back to queries to Yorkshire Association of Local Councils as well. Just thought you'd like to know that.
On the specific
Yes,
question,
I did have a hand up.
I'd say on the specific question, it'd probably be to contact the Fires Franklin.
Sorry?
Councillor Ryler speaking.
Yeah.
I haven't finished, Chair. I've just been interrupted, that was all. But I'm happy to hand over now.
Right.
I guess like all of the departments in Kirklees Council, there has been a reduction in staff rather than an increase in staff, and that's just the way it is at the moment. So I don't think it's. I think it's going to be more difficult for them to reply to individuals, and unfortunately, Parish Council, as you know, as the planning committee knows, that they're not given that sort of special treatment. You can get information via the ward councillors, but I don't think that will change, given that there's been a reduction in staff rather than an increase in staff, I'm afraid.
I suppose I have one comment that I'd like to make, that I perfectly understand Kirklees Council's reluctance to give all speeding data and stuff to the public. I don't understand why they're unwilling to give it to the planning committee of the parish council.
Well, I'm not saying that I do either, but that is.
I just want it recorded.
Yeah.
That puzzles us. Clark?
I think I did report either to the June meeting or it might have even been the May meeting that the Chief Executive has written to clerks such as myself and other local councils to say that they will work with us to review the parish charter, but I've not heard anything since.
Why change the habit of life?
Well, it's not, listen, I mean, what Councillor Ryler says, whether we like it or not, it's not going to get better in the short term. We are already talking to other parish and town councils, so it's a bit like herding cats, I keep meeting these people, these dudes, and saying, have you got your diary? They never do have their diary. I email them. We'll keep plugging away because certainly Murfield are interested in forming possibly an informal group, or some members of Murfield, not everybody, are interested in some sort of informal group of Kirklees town and parish councils. And I stated this as one of my objectives as chair. I'm still plugging away at it. Nothing is happening yet. Chris?
One question for Charles. The Wakefield system that you say works well, was that initiated by Wakefield Council or was it initiated by the plan?
I don't know, it's been in place for 20 years.
Right. Maybe that's where we should be.
But they have...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To form a group of Kirklees town and parish councils to get together and work collectively.
Matthias came from Wakefield originally, didn't he?
I don't know about.
Anyway, it doesn't matter, we've spent enough time on this. Let's move on to Tell Tracy. In the Yorkshire, in the police crime plan, there's a consultation event later this month on Tell Tracy. Do we want to send any formal representation for, just don't know, Joe, I haven't finished answering the question yet. Formal representation, informal, do we want to go as individual councillors? What does the people want us to do?
I'm going to try and go as a ward councillor, but I can always speak back.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you. So we've got a representative coming, we'll make you official.
Well, I mean, I will need, I'll check my diary and then, right. But I think I should be okay.
If you can't, let us know,
Yeah,
but I think it would be good if somebody would.
Yeah.
Communication from Woven, it's an interesting project. The whole Woven thing is very nice, and my feeling is that what we should probably do is invite them to come to service provision to talk about what they have in mind and what they could do, where we, I don't think we all want to sit around knitting woolly hats for post boxes, but there is more to them than that. It's a really good initiative, it's been going for several years, so would service provision like to invite them to come and talk?
Well, I agree with what you say. I was going to speak against this about them coming to full council. Nothing against the project itself, but it's one of many, they're.
I think if there's something that would be appropriate for full council, you can bring it to full council, but I think they're better coming to you.
There's that possibility, or there's the alternative possibility we invite them to come and speak and just put and invite anyone else who would like to come and listen to them. So it doesn't necessarily even have to come to service provision, which is also pretty crowded in terms of the agenda and so on. So I'm putting it out there if anyone wants to comment on that.
Well, our feeling was it should be, and my feeling was it should be service provision initially. I can't think of any other committee it fits in with.
I was thinking of more of any, not necessarily to any committee meeting. I was thinking if you want to come and talk to people and some people want to listen.
Yeah, but we can't be confident we can get people for another meeting in addition to all the ones that we can't get people onto working groups, Charles, Lawrence. So it's unlikely we'll get a decent audience for them. Anyway, I'll leave that with you. But I think we should encourage them and be willing to meet with them. And I don't think it's, certainly initially, for full council. And then 106, the Childbrook Convalescent Fund. This is not a request for a parish council trustee, it's a request for a person as an individual. They want trustees, is what they're after. You've got the documents about what they're about and everything. If you are interested, let the clerk know, because they do want trustees. Yeah, are you happy with that?
Noted.
Noted. And then that brings us to items for publicity. Well, the big event is the obvious thing, and it kind of supersedes all else for a month or so, doesn't it? Really, I think. Okay, thank you everybody. Well done.